Subhanallah. Professor William Brown converted to Islam after proving the truth of the Qur'an, that plants also perform tasbih. God's guidance can come from anywhere, at any time, and to anyone. This can also happen to scientists who are conducting research, and from the results of their research, Allah gives them guidance. One of them happened to a scientist from the United States, who managed to prove that plants always glorify Allah. The seven heavens, the earth, and everything in it glorify God, and there is nothing but glorification by praising Him, but you all do not understand their glorification. Indeed, He is most merciful and most forgiving. Qs al-Isra 44. In a scientific study reported by a well-known science magazine, the Journal of Plant Molecular Biologists, it was stated that a group of scientists conducting research found subtle sounds coming out of some plants that were not usually heard by ordinary ears. The sound was successfully saved and recorded with the most sophisticated recording device ever available. Scientists have been researching this astonishing phenomenon for almost 3 years, and have succeeded in analyzing the sound pulses or pulses so that they become signals in the form of electrical light, Karudahaya, with a tool called an oscilloscope. Finally, the scientists were able to see the electric light pulses repeating more than 1,000 times in 1 second. Professor William Brown, who led scientific experts to study this phenomenon, indicated after the results were achieved that there was no scientific interpretation of this phenomenon. Even though, as admitted by the professor, his party had submitted the results of their research to universities and study centers in America and Europe. But all of them were unable to interpret this phenomenon. In fact, everyone was stunned and did not know what to comment. On the last occasion, this phenomenon confronted and studied by experts from Britain. And among them, there was a Muslim scientist who came from India. After 5 days of research and study, it turned out that the scientists from England raised their hands. The Muslim scientist said, "We Muslims know the interpretation and meaning of this phenomenon, even since 1400 years ago." So the scientists present were shocked by this statement and asked desperately to show the interpretation and meaning of this incident. The Muslim scientist immediately quoted the words of Allah, "And there is nothing but glorification by praising Him, but you do not understand their tasbih. Indeed, He is the most forgiving, the most forgiving." Qs al-Isra 44. It is not the sound of the throbbing, but the lafadz jalala, the name of Allah Azza wa Jalla, as seen in the layer, oscilloscope. So silence and extraordinary astonishment filled the hall where the Muslim scientist spoke. Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. This is one of the many miracles of this true religion. Everything is glorified using the name of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Finally, the person responsible for this research, namely Professor William Brown, met the Muslim scientist to discuss the religion brought by a prophet who was an ummi, unable to read and write, before 1400 years ago regarding this phenomenon. So the scientist explained to him about Islam. After that, he presented the Quran and its translation to the professor. A few days after that, Professor Wiliam held a lecture at Carnage, Malone University. He said, "In my life, I have never encountered a phenomenon like this in 30 years of this work, and not a single scientist among them has carried out such a study, able to interpret what this phenomenon means. Likewise, no natural event has ever been found that can interpret it. However, the only interpretation that we can find is in the Quran." This left me no other choice but to say, "I bear witness that there is no true God but Allah, and that Muhammad is His servant and messenger." This professor had announced his Islam in front of a stunned audience. Allah is the greatest. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a scientist realizes his negligence and knows that the haqq religion is Islam, Allah Ta'ala said, إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح 1 ورأيت الناس يدخلون فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا 3 If the help of Allah and victory and you, when you see people converting to Allah's religion in droves, then glorify yourself by praising your Lord and asking Him for forgiveness. Indeed, He is the acceptor of repentance. QS and Nashr 1-3. What is meant by the meaning of the word Fath in this verse is Fathul Makkah, conquest of the city of Makkah, 8 AH, according to one opinion. Their Arab officials were so proud of their Islam when Fathul Makkah. They said, if someone achieves victory during Fathul Makkah, then it means he is a prophet. Then at that time many people converted to Islam. For 2 years, almost the entire Arabian Peninsula believed. There are no Arab tribes left unless they convert to Islam. Thank God for this great gift. From Amr bin Salama, he said, وكانت العرب تلوم بإسلامهم الفتح فيقولون اتركوا وقققوا عليهم فهو نبي صادق فلما كانت وقعة أهل الفتح بادر كل قوم أبي قومي بإسلامهم. The Arabs completely denounced the victory because of their Islam. Then they said, just leave him, Muhammad, and his people alone. If he wins against his people, it means he is truly an honest prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the perpetrators of victory, the Muslims, stopped for a while and then left, each group hurriedly departed with their Islam. And my father rushed to meet my people with their Islam. H.R. Bukhari number 4302. The human tendency is to look for the path that is easy, light, and if possible, what he likes. So that human life is directed and also has a clear life goal, namely, happiness in life in the world and also happiness in life in the aftermath and kept away from the torment of hell. 2:201. Then what is called religion is needed. To practice religion well and correctly, you also have to use references which are known as the Holy Bible as the main reference. The holy book in Islam is the Qur'an, which can be thought of as law. If further explanation is needed in the Qur'an, it can be seen in the tafsir and/or in the Sunnah of the Prophet as PP or ministerial decree. The holy book that explains obligations, commands, pillars of faith and pillars of Islam, prohibitions, and the purpose of human life as mentioned above is only the Qur'an. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, 1. Indeed, the religion that is acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only Islam. 3:19. 2. Whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, that religion will never be accepted by him. 385. 3. There is no compulsion to enter the religion of Islam. 2:256. 4. Enter the whole of Islam. 2.208. 5. And do not die unless you embrace the religion of Islam. 2:1-32. 3:102.